today's episode of Vinyl Tales, where we spin tales about vinyl. Today, I've picked out 3 songs for you that all have some pretty cool stories. To start off with, we have a song that was written in a taxi about a girl, just like a lot of them. But this one ended up going into space. Second, we have a song that's more of a story. It wasn't supposed to get a sequel, but due to a bout of anger, it ended up getting 2 sequels that are vastly different from each other. And the third and final song for today that I have picked out is a hit song that has been a part of popular culture for decades. But regardless of how popular it is, it's actually just a cover of an earlier song with a very different style to it. I bet you won't be able to guess what that third one is. So, watch till the end to learn about all 3 of these cool songs and the stories behind them on today's episode of Vinyl Tales. Originally released in October 1961, first up, we have a song called Stranger on the Shore by a man that went by the name Mr. Acker Bilk. Mr. Acker Bilk wrote Stranger on the Shore on a single piece of paper, riding in a taxi. He originally named it Jenny after his daughter because he originally wrote it especially for her. Bilk played the clarinet, but he needed some help for the other instruments. And so he got a hold of a friend of his. This man was named Leon Young, and he was an arranger. What he did was he asked Leon Young if he would help him out with writing the rest of the composition. So he handed Leon this piece of paper that he had written this part of the song on, and Leon Young took it and he crafted the string arrangement that is played in the background behind the clarinet played by Acker Bilk. After Jenny was finalized and then recorded, even though it wasn't released as a single until October of '61, the BBC chose it as the theme song for a new 5-episode TV serial drama that they were about to run on Sunday afternoons. It ran from September 21st to October 22nd, 1961, and was called Stranger on the Shore. Now, even though Bilk had named the song after his daughter, Jenny, when the BBC chose to use it as the theme for their new show, which was called Stranger on the Shore, the name of the song was changed to match the name of the show for which it was now associated with. It was originally released in 2 different times. It wasn't released in the US until the spring of '62, when Atco, like you see here on this one, got a hold of it and they released it in the US. But back in the UK, Columbia released it on their label back in October of '61 with the original release. Now, if you look on that original Columbia release from the UK, and you find the line for the song name on the label, underneath that song name is a line that says, "Theme from the BBC TV series," to confirm that the song's connection to the show actually exists. This song was originally written simply as an instrumental, and it was supposed to feature Acker Bilk's clarinet. Now, as an instrumental, it's been covered by multiple people, most notably Herb Alpert covered it in 1987, and Kenny G covered it himself in 1999. Even though the original song didn't have any lyrics, in 1962, a man named Robert Mellon, who was a songwriter, was approached, and he was asked to write lyrics for the song, which he did, giving the song a new edition that now made it available for singers and vocalists of all kinds to cover the song as well, instead of just instrumentalists. You could sing it now. Some of the most prominent covers of this new version with lyrics are Andy Williams did one in the late summer, early fall time of 1962, and a group called the Drifters also sang a cover of this song in fall of 1962. However, neither of theirs really did all that well. I think the highest of theirs made it was number 8, whereas the original by Mr. Acker Bilk made it all the way up to number 1, both US and UK. Also in that same year, so about fall of '62, a woman named Nana Mouskouri released a version in French called Savoir Aimer. I don't speak French. Remember when I said in the intro, one of these songs made it to space? Well, one last thing about this song is back in the 1960s, NASA launched their Apollo missions with the goal of going to the moon. And Apollo 11, launched in the summer of '69, actually made it to the moon. Everyone knows about all of that. It's common knowledge now. But a little less known from Apollo 11 is in May of '69, so just a couple months before of the Apollo 11 mission, NASA launched Apollo 10. Now, Apollo 10 was supposed to be a dress rehearsal. They were going to do, kind of as a test flight, they're going to do everything exactly as Apollo 11 was eventually scheduled to do things, except touchdown on the moon. So that way they could make sure that they have all of their settings right for the eventual fateful mission. Well, during that Apollo 10 mission in May of '69, one of the astronauts named Gene Cernan took a cassette tape with him on the spacecraft. One of the songs on that tape that he had was the song "Stranger on the Shore" by Mr. Acker Bilk. But to summarize, Bilk wrote this song for his daughter, Jenny, and originally named it after her. Before it was released as a single, it was used as the theme song for a BBC TV serial drama. It was initially released simply as an instrumental, but lyrics were added later by a third party, which then led to multiple covers by multiple people, each in their own way. Having become a #1 hit, years later after its release, it made its way onto a cassette tape that was taken on board the Apollo 10 spacecraft, made its way all the way to the moon. And that's just the first one that I have for you today. Stick around, because I still got a couple more songs for you. Next up is a song that was released in June 1976 by Red Sovine called Teddy Bear. Even though it's called a song, Teddy Bear is technically described as a recitation with an instrumental backing. You see, in the mid-1970s, there was a CB radio craze. It was before the internet, and everyone thought that this new two-way radio communication thing was pretty cool. There were kids riding their bikes to school, and they'd put a little CB radio unit on their handlebars to imitate the truckers. This song capitalized on that craze because it's a story about a kid and a CB radio. The song is about a paraplegic boy who recently lost his truck driver father in a road accident. The boy is left with a CB radio to keep him company, though. The boy dons the nickname Teddy Bear and uses the radio to talk to another truck driver whom he befriends and tells his tale to. It truly is a heartfelt story if you go and you listen to the whole song all the way through, so I won't spoil any of it for you. Shortly after Teddy Bear came out, it became popular, and the record label actually wanted Red Sovine to release a sequel to the song, but he just wasn't interested. He didn't want to. And this left things open for a woman named Diana Williams to release her own sequel titled Teddy Bear's Last Ride. In her song, the story is about the future of the boy. It's told from the point of view of a friend of the boy's mother. In the song, the boy's illness is terminal, and the end of the song has a bunch of truck drivers attending his funeral. Now, when this version came out, when this song by Diana Williams came out, Red Sovine was outraged by this turn of events to the future of the little boy in his song. He didn't like the way that Teddy Bear's story went as he grew up, according to her song. And so he finally recorded and released his own sequel to the song called Little Joe. In Little Joe, another truck driver is in an accident and his dog saves him. Teddy Bear reappears, now older, completely healthy, and he's walking. He's no longer paraplegic. And it is Teddy Bear who helps to reunite the dog, whose name is Little Joe, and his master, the truck driver. leading to a much happier ending than in Diana's version. Both songs are billed as sequels to Teddy Bear by Red Sovine, so it's simply take your pick as to which one you like better. Another quick fun fact about Teddy Bear by Red Sovine is in the Adult Swim show King of the Hill. In the episode Living on Reds, Vitamin C, and Propane, Hank Hill, the main character, performs this song on the show. So now you have to go back and watch that show and see if you can pick out this song. But I've got one more song picked out for you today, so hang with me a little bit longer. Today's last song is a song that's made its way into popular culture even today, and I'm sure you'll recognize this real fun song. We have See You Later, Alligator by Bill Haley and his Comets. Now, the release date is slightly debated between two different dates. According to Billboard, who runs the song charts, this song debuted on January 14th, 1956. The debate actually appears when you learn that Decca Records, whose name is on the label and they're the company that released the song, says that it wasn't released until February 1st, 1956. And so the February release date is the one that's usually gone with. This song was written in 1955 by a guy named Robert Charles Guidry. For the song, he used a New Orleans blues style because he was a Cajun musician. The melody he borrowed from the song Later For You Baby that a blues man named Guitar Slim released earlier in 1954. But did you know that this song that's been loved for decades is actually a cover? It's not an original. Bill Haley wasn't the first to release this song. It was actually first released by the songwriter himself, Robert Guidry. Guidry originally released the song under his stage name, Bobby Charles, and it was released by Chess Records with the title Later Alligator. The words "see you" weren't added until Bill Haley got a hold of it and released it himself. Now, Bobby Charles's Later Alligator, the original version of this song, was released in November of 1955. It was doing well on the charts, and when Bill Haley heard it, he instantly knew that someone was going to eventually try and cover the song, and he wanted to be that person. He wanted to be the first one to cover the song. And so, on December 12th, 1955, only a month later, Bill Haley and his Comets stepped into a Decca recording studio and recorded their own version of the song. Their version was quite a bit different from the original released by Robert Guidry, or Bobby Charles as he went by, that was released in November of 55. In Haley's version, the one that everyone's familiar with, it's actually faster. and more lighthearted than the original. It was also changed from an R&B shuffle style of music to a more rock and roll beat, because that's what Bill Haley and the Comets were known for, was rock and roll stuff. Something else that was added was that high-pitched voice at the very beginning of the song, where the lead guitarist recites the title of the song. That's another thing that was added in Bill Haley's version. If you listen to the song, the end of See You Later Alligator is virtually identical to another one of his hits that actually came out a little bit earlier, called Shake, Rattle, and Roll. The endings of the two songs are virtually identical. Guidry's version was the original version, and he released it in November of 1955. Sadly, as well as his version did, as we all know, it was Bill Haley's cover version that came out 3 months later, 2.5 months later, that ended up being the one to go down in history. Something else about this song, that it was actually Haley's version, Bill Haley's version of this song, the one that everyone knows, that popularized the catchphrase, "See you later, alligator," with a response eventually stemming, "After a while, crocodile." But this phrase is actually a style of talk that was popular back in the 50s, called Bowdian style. It's that rhyming, rapid-fire jive talk that you see in the movies and shows that are set during that time. For instance, the first Back to the Future, when Marty goes back to 1955. Or you can also see examples of it in the movie Grease. It's this Bowdian style of talking is something like, "What's your story, Morning Glory?" Or "Stop before you drop." Or "What's the deal, McNeil?" is another one. It's that kind of talk. And one last thing is, during this same time that the rhyming jive talk was popular, in the phrase "See you later, alligator," the term alligator was actually a slang term during that time. It was used to describe fans of jazz or swing music, because they swallowed up everything on offer, like an alligator. And that's all that I have for you today. We had 3 good songs. First, we had "Stranger on the Shore" by Mr. Acker-Bilk, which was written in a taxi about a girl. The name was changed to what we know it by today, when it was selected as the theme for a TV show. And it's seen the best of both worlds, since it was originally an instrumental, but had lyrics added later, and eventually made it into outer space. Second, we had Red Sobine's "Teddy Bear." That song is about a boy who finds comfort in talking over a CB radio to truckers. After losing his dad, it ends up making friends with some of those truckers. It wasn't supposed to get a sequel, but it got 2 because of a slight bout of anger. And finally, we ended up with the well-known song See You Later Alligator by Bill Haley and the Comets. This hit song that I'm sure everyone is familiar with is actually a rock and roll cover of an earlier New Orleans R&B style song, and it popularized a phrase for saying goodbye that people still use today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any other cool stories or know of any other interesting facts about songs or albums, just let me know what they are down in the comments. While you're at it, leave a like, subscribe maybe. Let me know if you like this stuff. This stuff's a lot of fun to put together, but it's even more fun when you have people to share it with. My name's Brandon. This has been an episode of Vinyl Tales, where we spin tales about vinyl. Stick around and wait for the next episode, but until then, I will see you later, alligator.